Welcome back to the Food on Demand podcast, where we dish up insights on the future of food relating to off premises operations and the overall digital dining experience. I'm Bernadette Heyer, Managing Editor.
And I'm Hans Zimmerman, food service and technology reporter. Food on Demand is your exclusive source covering the ongoing transformation of how people discover, shop, order, and consume food in a digital age.
Well, we have a great interview today, the last of our on the floor interviews from the Food on Demand conference in Dallas. This is with Kevin Bentley, head of technology at Jollibee Group. I really love this conversation and we're excited for that one. But of course, first it's time for our quick bites. So, Hans, what have you been working on?
Well, the food service and technology industries have been very busy this summer, of course. And a piece that I've worked on most recently is about Starship, who is redeploying their, I guess, more than 1,200 delivery robots from college campuses to specifically the grocery delivery scene. And that's going to be in the US and in Europe. But specifically around college campuses in America here, they're winding down those operations. So I got to hear from Starship, and I'm excited to see how that continues to play out. But of course, those college campus deliveries were a huge part of their business model for so many years.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see about their next strategies, especially with grocery delivery. For me, I did some coverage on Grubhub, expanding how diners can discover and order food with some new integrations with Eater, Belly, Amazon Alexa Plus, and Built Rewards. The reason I'm highlighting this is because it kind of highlights this trend where we're seeing these third-party platforms do these integrations to meet consumers where they are when they order. So we think about with the Grubhub, Amazon Alexa, with their Echo 8 model, they can order through voice. And then, of course, with things like Eater, where you go to discover restaurants and see pictures and reviews, you can also order directly on there. Um, it relates to things like we saw Starbucks and Little Caesars and other restaurants integrate with ChatGPT, and as well as the DoorDash and Uber Eats platforms where you can order directly on ChatGPT after asking questions such as, what should I get to order tonight? So together, these efforts really highlight how restaurant discovery and ordering are moving beyond traditional apps and websites into a growing ecosystem of digital touchpoints. So definitely check out that coverage of Food on Demand, but now we'll get into our interview. We are here with Kevin Bentley. He is head of technology at the Jollibee Group. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a pretty good conference so far. So excited about the things I can take back to my teams.
Awesome.
And it's my first time, so I'm a newbie.
Well, we have you booked and busy as you just got off a panel as well,
Yes.
And then the podcast. So thanks for being along for the ride. And I'm excited to talk a bit about some key aspects from that panel. But I want to start off with, can you give us a bit of background into you, your current role, and what you would do at Jollibee?
Yeah, so I've been with Jollibee Group now for 3 years. I'm the head of technology in the North American region, which is US and Canada. And I oversee 7 of our concepts. And I run technology.
As you just said, you oversee the tech across several brands under the Jollibee umbrella. How do you think about building a tech stack that works across several different concepts while still supporting what's happening at the in-store level?
Yeah, so we look to unify our bigger pieces of the technology. So your POS system, your loyalty system, what I call the foundations of the restaurant, right? Your back office solutions. That allows us to be able to support at scale with a leaner team. And then what intricacies of each brand requires a certain technology that the rest of the group doesn't need, right? So as an example, we introduced Jollibee to loyalty last year. That was a brand that's up and coming here in the States, globally known, and we didn't have a loyalty program. In the first year, we signed up, I think it was 1 million plus people in the first year of the program.
And I don't know if for like a tech guy, this is kind of like asking what your favorite child is, but what would you say is the most exciting aspect of the tech stack for Jollibee? Would you say maybe the loyalty program?
No, I think it's how would I say this? There's not one aspect of the technology that's important. It's the complexity of the stack. right? Because each brand has a little bit different and unique flavor. Even within the common technology, they're using it differently, right? Different components, different features and functionality. So what I love about it is the challenge of making this like insanely huge ecosystem come together in a way that benefits the business.
Well, obviously, a big part of the tech stack and what we're talking about lately is AI. And you just got off a panel titled How to Make GM's Lives Easier Using AI. What are some key takeaways from that conversation maybe operators should be paying attention to?
Yeah, so I think the biggest one was about the human factor, right? There's a lot of concern about AI taking over, replacing humans, replacing jobs. The reality is we're in the hospitality industry, and the AI is just going to be an opportunity for us to do what we should be doing best, which is serve our guests, right? Spending more time on the floor with our consumers, understanding and meeting their needs. And so that was the major takeaway is we're still in a people business. The second piece is, from my perspective as a technologist, I have a few different customers. I have the support center, I have my operations team and my operators, and then I have the end consumer. My job is to make the operator or the GM more efficient and give them time back to do the more critical jobs that needs to be done.
Yeah, as we know, GMs are already wearing so many hats.
Yes.
And, layering on technology should be easy and hopefully create less friction. And so when we think about some technology being brought in with AI, there's obviously forecasting and other things people are automating back of house. But what are you kind of seeing that's intriguing to you, or maybe you're trying at Jollibee?
Yeah, definitely the back of house. I think there's just been a fundamental shift here as of late, right? For so many years we were so consumer focused, especially coming out of the pandemic. Everybody was building their digital tech stack and making sure we met the consumer where they were at. And in that process, we lost sight of one of the critical or more important pieces of the business, which is the operators. And so now I think there's that full circle moment where everyone in the industry is going back and figuring out how they can help the team members do back of the house initiatives. Yeah.
And you spoke about hospitality just before, and then how AI is kind of taken on, or at least assisting some of these back of house duties. Do you ultimately see that leading to operators maybe putting more of an emphasis on the front of house staff and maybe even increasing the number of front of house staff per store?
I don't know if you're going to increase the front of house staff, but what you can do is reallocate labor, right? Because I'm giving you time back through these AI tools. I'm giving you the opportunity to maybe not do as much of the admin work, which gives you more time, which now you can focus more on the front of the house, right? And then automating some of the back of the house processes. We're a little bit late in that game, but everyone's trying to catch up, similar to when we were trying to catch up with digital during the pandemic.
What are your thoughts on some of the emerging technologies around like AI vision on the make line or things like that?
I love it personally. I come from a non-traditional background where I played in the NFL for 10 years. So everything was film, right? So I'm used to looking at film and analyzing and getting corrective feedback based on what I see. So I think with the AI vision and the camera systems, it's not only an opportunity to understand our guests better, it's understanding our processes, where we can improve, where we have bottlenecks, things of that nature. So I think there's a huge opportunity for us to accelerate the growth and development of our team members.
And how about, what is the approach from Jollibee to use technology to improve the drive-thru experience for customers and streamline that?
Yeah, so I think similar to everyone else, we're toying with that idea right now. We've been close to piloting and pulled back. There's still that concern about the human nature, the loyalty program and how that integrates. And the reality is, in a lot of this early technology, you still need someone listening in. And so if that's the case, we might as well just serve our guests the way we want to serve them. But I don't take it off the table. I know it is coming, and we need to figure out what it looks like for us. One of the things we preach is we're not going to do things just because other people do it. We're going to make sure it fits our business strategy and our consumer needs.
And one thing that Jollibee has done recently that is definitely stand out, and I'm hearing about it from a lot of my friends that are Final Fantasy players, is that promotion that incorporates Final Fantasy, including the in-game, emotes.
Yep.
Can you walk through some of the technical parts of that promotion and I guess how Jollibee played into that?
Yeah, no, it was a great partnership. It's serving us well. We've seen great positive results from it. A lot of technical work went in the background, obviously, as As you can imagine, a lot of integration, things of that nature, being able to order right from the game. And other brands are doing it as well. We're seeing partnerships become a critical aspect of what I would call marketing, right? But technology enables that. And so that's been a big win for us. We actually had, we decked out some of our stores in full Final Fantasy, and then they had a conference right next to one of our locations. So we participated in that as well. But I think throughout the industry, you're going to see more partnerships coming because there's that brand and reach. Everyone knows Final Fantasy. We're an up-and-coming brand here in the States, globally well known, but in the States, we're still growing and gaining momentum. So why not partner with people that accelerate that?
Yeah, and that kind of makes me think about the next generation, younger generations, in-game ordering, meeting consumers where they are.
Spending their parents' money.
Yeah, so I'm curious from your perspective on when we think about the next generation and just kind of following those trends or meeting that consumer behavior. What are you guys kind of seeing?
No, yeah, you're exactly right. There's going to come a time here in the near future when all of our consumers grew up with these pieces of technology, right? Whether it's a digital phone or a mobile phone, some kind of virtual reality. So we have to address that consumer set. But there's still a lot of earlier generation consumers that aren't as tech savvy. So the real balancing act is how do you meet all the consumers and their needs while being profitable?
And to further narrow in on that balancing act, a lot of brands are using menu intelligence and personalization to tailor the experience to a specific individual, whether that be a promotion that will capture exactly what they want in order to come in, or what will make them most likely to come back another time. At the same time, there are some customers that would prefer not download an app at all costs. So how do you balance that, like leaning into personalization and then also just staying true to what the brand has done?
Yeah, I think personalization is critical. Let's be honest. If I know intimate details about you and I was like, hey, nice to meet you. I remember you spoke about this. Instantly that boosts your oxytocin, right?
Yeah.
You feel a certain way about me remembering something you said or things of that nature. In this case, it's about remembering what you like to eat, maybe what your favorite drink is. Hey, it's good to see you this week. How are the kids doing in their soccer game, right? Little things like that create the experience that makes personalization important. But there are guests that want to be private, right? We have guests now, consumers, younger consumers that don't speak to each other. They can literally sit at the same table and they're texting one another versus chatting. So again, it's about understanding your consumer and meeting their needs and where they are in different channels.
Could you tell me a little bit about how Jollibee uses menu intelligence specifically for the online ordering process? Like what menu items maybe a customer sees first?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, you look at your product mix. Some people call it P-mix. You understand your best sellers, both online and in store, because they could be different, right? We have a lot in store. We have a lot of families that come in. So there's a lot of larger orders. Where on the web, sometimes we get people that are just ordering for themselves, especially now that we've rolled out the loyalty program. So understanding your P-mix is critical, and then placing those items strategically, what people call above the fold, so it's the first thing you see. Mm-hmm. All right. If I know you're coming for a spicy chicken joy, I'm going to show you a spicy chicken joy. Now, I may later in the process say, hey, have you thought about our pineapple quencher or one of our pies? But I want to make sure I capture you and have you really engaged. And the way to do that is to speak to your needs.
What are 2 or 3 of the KPIs that you really look at to determine whether or not that menu intelligence is working? And maybe if there's an unexpected kind of indicator that you look at.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a lot of analytics tied into our web and app so we can understand traffic flow, where people are clicking, heat maps, things of that nature. And we revise our menu, our technology, our flows based on what we're seeing. And then we marry those technologies with the customer sentiment, right? They're giving us feedback on our website. They're giving us feedback on our menu. And so marrying those two and having those insights allows us to make changes a lot faster.
Yeah, data is so important, a gold mine in our industry. When an operator might be looking at their tech stack, that's a complicated question. Some will work with many different vendors, some are building in-house. What should they look at first to see maybe where there's friction, or if they want to just kind of evaluate, or maybe their contracts are coming up, or maybe they just want to see if everything's working the best? What do you look at when you do that?
Well, obviously, you got to start with profitability,
Mhm.
right? And what I look at from a technologist is I'm looking at my digital channels. I'm looking at conversion rates. Are people able to go through the process and make a payment? How many people are dropping off from the time they hit our site to the time it's checkout time? And understanding those metrics, you can find the bottlenecks, you can find the opportunities to improve the flow, things of that nature. And then you can actually delve deeper to understand, is it about the flow? Is there something with the technology, the way it's coded, the way it's processing that is allowing us to miss those sales?
Well, looking ahead, what tech do you think has the most potential to meaningfully improve restaurant operations over the next couple of years?
It's definitely going to be AI. I think we're still in the early stages, and I mentioned this in my panel. You guys remember in the early 2000s, it was all about web. About mid 2010, 2015, it started to shift to digital. And now we're in that next wave of transformation, which is AI. And so if you're not on board, you're going to get left behind, but you have to do it strategically. Again, you can't do something just because other people are doing it. It has to make sense for your business strategy and your end goal.
And I'd love to hear about how Jollibee uses technology to influence menu innovation. I know that I first tried Jollibee in the Philippines, and then I came back where I was living in Houston, and there was a Jollibee right there. And
Yep.
there's a really dense Filipino community there in Houston as well. So it's kind of that pulling into it, seeing what's popular in certain service areas, and then looking, where is that population also present here in America?
Yeah, so I would say early on in our development here in the North American region, that was the approach. Were the Filipino-based communities, but what we're noticing now with a lot of things we've done in the last few years is we're really starting to tap into mainstream gen pop. It's not just Filipinos that enjoy the chicken anymore. We've been voted to the best fried chicken in the U.S. for the last few years. So we have a really great product that's slightly different than some of the other chicken categories or chicken players, but we're trying to expand that in a way that makes sense for our business, but we're bringing joy to the world through our chicken.
And for the menu innovation specifically, can you talk about how some of that technology has guided, new menu items, or like having menu items leave the menu?
Oh yeah, I mean LTOs is a great place to start, right? Last year we did. I don't know if you guys remember the partnership we did with Cat's Eye, and we had the Korean barbecue. Was a hit. We didn't keep it on the menu, but that partnership and the technology allowed us to innovate within our menu and use that. And then the way technology is working on our R&D side is we're able to look at our P-mix, understand trends, like maybe it's a new sauce that's coming out or a new flavor, right? For a while, now spice is the big thing. Everybody wants spice. How do we take our menu and understand that through the technology, our competitors, the trends from consumers, and then use that to create our version of that?
Awesome. Well, we learned a lot, Kevin, and we've been quizzing you quite a bit here on technology in the industry. What we'd like to do when we wrap up is a fun little segment called Did You Leave Room for Dessert, where we ask you some random questions to get to know you better.
Okay.
So I'll let Hans kick that off.
Yes. So Kevin, you played on 4 teams in the NFL over a decade. So you have plenty of experience with stadiums. Which food to you is the best of the best when it comes to watching a football game live from the stadium?
Oh, that is a great question. I'm going to say sliders.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be sliders. Whether it's chicken, beef, barbecue pork, that goes over really well.
Oh, yeah. And circling back to when we were talking about fantasy football, since you used to be in the NFL, do you have anyone you're eyeing?
For fantasy football?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. And I play fantasy football every year since I've retired, just
Uh-huh.
about. And I've won multiple fantasy league championships. Maybe got a little insider tip there. But this year, I am looking for players that have dual capabilities. So last 2 years, my quarterback was Jalen Hurts. He got a lot of rushing touchdowns, which in the leagues I play is worth more because he's a quarterback versus throwing the ball. So I'm looking for players that can score in a multitude of ways.
Well, anyone listening also got some football advice as well. Okay, so when we think about using technology when you're ordering at restaurants, if you go into a quick service restaurant, do you prefer to order at the kiosk, or are you like to just go right behind the counter?
So it really depends on how much time I have.
Mhm.
My preference is always to deal with the human first because I just enjoy that aspect of hospitality. But if I have my 5 kids with me, it's probably something quick, and I'm probably not even using the kiosk. I'm probably using curbside or something like that in the app. I need it fast and ready right away, but I still enjoy going in and sitting down, even in quick serve restaurants. I'll go and sit down and enjoy my meal.
It's an underrated experience.
It is.
And also, yeah, so I will say that if everything happens to, fall apart, which I would not predict for Jollibee, then it looks like you may have a future with your fantasy football predictions. I think people would get into that.
No, I would say I could sell some tips for sure.
Maybe on the side. And then how about, now you have extensive experience working with state-of-the-art technology. Do you have any technology that when you look back maybe to your childhood where you thought, man, this is the future? I know for me, the Wii was kind of a big one for that.
I was actually going to go to the Wii. So early on, that was what, 2005 to 10 range?
That's what I think.
And they had all the active games, right? So I would play those games with my kids. If we couldn't get outside or something, they had the tennis and the bowling and all of that, and the controllers So I loved the Wii because it was almost like a glimpse into virtual reality. And sure enough, here we are today.
And I think the Roomba also gets a special shout out there.
Oh, yeah.
I thought, what is next? That's where I thought, okay, maybe self-driving cars will be a thing. And sure enough, maybe the Roomba predicted that.
And I'm dating myself a little bit, but like when I even go back to things like the Jetsons, I'm like, what? There's robots that can clean the house? Here we are. There's flying cars? Here we are, right? Back then, you would have never thought about it, especially transitioning from the Flintstones, where they were yabba-dabba doing with their feet, to, oh my God, Elroy and them are driving flying cars, right? So I've actually seen that transition. I grew up on Atari and Nintendo, and now I can't even play the games. The graphics are so real.
Yeah, well, the future is definitely here. Once again, we really appreciate you sharing all of your insight with us. Is there anything else that you'd like to add about, the current state of restaurant technology that we didn't already ask about?
No, I just think we're in that transformational stage again, where AI is the new hot buzz, but really taking a deeper dive and understanding it before you just start implementing and executing. Because if we continue to do that, we'll find ourselves in the same spot we did 10 or 15 years ago when technology really became the rage, and we just start throwing technology into the restaurant. And then you spend years trying to untangle that web.
Well, awesome. Yeah, you definitely kind of changed the way that I'm thinking about restaurant technology and all those different promotions that I get on my, the notifications from the apps. So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. And I hope everybody else will join us back in another 2 weeks for the next Food on Demand podcast.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed that interview just as much as we did. It was really nice talking to Kevin. And we look forward to seeing you guys for the next Food on Demand podcast. This time, no longer live from the conference, but back here in the studio in another 2 weeks.
Thank you.